Hello Gemini, Gemini Rising and Gemini Moon people. This is your monthly astrological horoscope for August 2017. And a quick reminder for all of you out there, I'm actually putting out a special video on the Uranus retrograde, which is going to be happening here. It's a special kind of Uranus retrograde. It's the last Uranus retrograde that is exclusively committed to Aries for a very, very long time. So I want to do a special video all about that, so stay tuned. And of course, if you ever want to get a session with me, you can always follow the links below or go to integrativemysticism.com. So what is going on with your astrology this month? Well, we've got some leftover energies from July, actually very, very helpful ones. We've got Venus in Cancer in your third house. I'm sorry, your second house of earned income. I'm looking at two different things here. In your second house of earned income and employment, and with Venus in this area, this is going to be a month of easy money coming to a lot of you Gemini people out there, especially between the 1st and the 26th. You know, when Venus is in an earned income area, we tend to notice that we're making just as much money for doing less work, or making more money for doing the same amount of work. And this could actually be something that also proves to be very advantageous for a lot of you out there who are looking for new jobs. You may find a job that is in the same classification, the same position, same category as a place that you've been, yet the company is actually paying more for you to be there, even though it's not a step up in stature. To be honest, it's not a step up in stature or title, but the energy of it does, you know, maybe they could just afford to pay more. I'm not sure, but it looks like a wonderful way to start off this month. We've also got Mars in Leo, in your third house of communications, pacts, and promises. And Mars in Leo is causing some iffy stuff for a lot of the earlier signs, except for you. The Tauruses, the Aries, and the Cancerian people are having a bit of a rough go of it for a little bit. But for you, it's actually going to be a very, very nice push there, because with Mars in the third house, we tend to get a lot taken care of in terms of making sure that promises and pacts are kept. Okay, and that's going to be a big theme of this month. People may actually be making good on a lot of oaths, a lot of promises, whether they're debts, whether they're contracts, whether they're things that we have in writing or things that we did, or you know, or maybe even things that we had not even officially as a contract, just sort of like a verbal spoken promise. People are going to be making good on that a lot this month. Now, the thing to be careful of is, with Mars in the third house, we have a tendency to sort of self-sabotage, so be careful. Mars can make us extremely aggressive. Now, I know aggressive can be vogue nowadays, but with Mars in the third, there is a different, it's like walking the edge of a knife. You know, we can be tough and edgy and say it like it is, or we can be self-alienating, go too far, and maybe not necessarily come off the way we want it to. So be careful not to over-negotiate things, beat a dead horse, or talk anything to death with Mars in your third house, because again, a lot of people who say they will. We also have the big lunar eclipse this month on the 7th, and that's going to be going on in your 9th house of higher education, pacts and promises, and government and legal proceedings, as well as your academia, your academics, your academic careers, especially those who have academic careers, and broadcasting. And whenever we have a lunar eclipse, it brings an end. It does bring an ending. Lunar eclipses bring endings, solar eclipses bring beginnings. And this is opening up a window period for about 3 to 4 months, okay? So going up to about the end of August, beginning of November. So we don't want to assume that everything just happens on the day of the eclipse. It may be initiated, but it goes on, okay? When we have this in the 9th house, this will start to bring to a close a major shift or a major effort or a major motion that has been going on in this area of the 9th house. If you have, say, a legal or government situation that you are working on, whether it's a lawsuit, whether you're working on a licensing issue, a permit issue, permissions, if we're looking to actually break free of any kind of binding contracts, or maybe actually break away from something, or maybe you want to appeal it and get it released, or make an alteration, or end something and start over, this is going to be the window period in which you're going to be able to do that functionally. Now, this can also, however, be a bit of a warning for a lot of you students out there. Be so careful and be so mindful when it comes to what choices you make around your studies, your academic career. If you are going to change majors, which you might, make sure that you know where you're going with it and that you don't commit to a decision when it comes to your major this month. Okay? Maybe you should stick with what you're going for. I honestly would prefer if you did wait to commit to a whole new major or a whole new whatever program you're in until maybe after we get into October. Things a little bit easier, a little bit more clear around that time for you. Travel may be challenged during this time. You may, be careful over the next few months. You may notice that, places that you used to travel a lot, or the availability to travel certain places, visit family, friends, or even work. Certain avenues are getting closed off, others are opening. It's going to be very inconsistent, so make sure that you always have a backup plan. On the 12th, it sounds like it, so we might as well segue there. We've got Mercury turning retrograde in Virgo, but this is in your 4th house of home and family, where he will be retrograding all the way up until the 31st of this month, and things will shift. And with Mercury retrograde in the 4th house of home and family, this is actually not a bad thing. It's going to bring an opportunity to reconnect with friends and with relatives that used to be connected to us, or our, I guess you could say, our natal family, our family unit, our family household from our youth. Okay, and we're going back and reconnecting those roots. Now, this may be reconnecting with relatives that we don't speak to very much anymore, friends from childhood, things like that. However, in the last 3 weeks of this, in the 12th to the 31st, I would be careful about signing any leases, any mortgages. I would be careful about, closing on anything that you are looking to purchase. I would, there may be something that kind of mucks it up. Go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. Of course, we can't all just let our lives come to a screeching halt for a retrograde. But, I would be careful, double-check everything, or get something sealed before you do something that big when it comes to the home front. Because this month it could, there's a lot of good, but there's also something that could be kind of turned around by the time we get to the end of it. On the 21st of the month, we do have a solar eclipse, new moon in Leo in your 3rd house of communications, pacts, promises, and commitments, short distance travel, and vocational training. It's a lot of things. And remember, solar eclipse is a beginning. It's not an ending. And again, this opens up another several month window for a lot of you out there, from the 21st on. And in the 3rd house of pacts, promises, and commitments, this could actually be a new contract, whether it's a new contract job, the renegotiating a contract of maybe a sale, or maybe a contract of employment, or maybe even an opportunity for some of you to get a whole new program for yourself underway when it comes to upgrading your training through some kind of new, again, upgraded training process. Some of you may be taking a new class, on-the-job training, in a way that actually allows you to promote yourself. This is also going to expand your bubble a little bit as far as commutes. You may be finding yourself traveling more, job opportunities may be a little bit more out of town or a little bit more out of the usual reach. But it is giving you an opportunity to actually expand your backyard territory just a little bit. However, with this, again, remember, Mercury is retrograde up until about the 1st, 2nd week of September, so, be careful about jumping off on too much too soon, but the eclipse's energies last a lot longer than that little itty-bitty retrograde. We've also got the Sun moving into Virgo, into that 4th house of home and family on the 22nd. And it's basically going to be creating an opportunity to, again, bring more harmony, but also bring more of a sense of security and peace into the home front. With Mercury retrograde, again, things are a little bit wonky. We have opportunities for patching things up with people, bringing more good attention and, and restorative energy into the home front. And the Sun in the 4th house is talking all about highlighting that for you. The Sun from here all the way up until about the 3rd week of September is also focusing on what can you do to turn your home into more of a sanctuary. What can you learn about, how you keep your space, the space you surround yourself in, is affecting what you go out there into the world with. As within, so without. So what do you go out and meet in the world, may actually be reflective of what you saturate in and stay in the household. Now, this may be something that, it might not be physical. It may just be, again, the energy of people. Maybe you live in an apartment or a condo. It's important to pay attention to where we can actually work on optimizing that, so, our home is working a bit more like an amulet. On the 25th of the month, we do have Saturn turning direct after a long period of retrograde. And this is happening in your 7th house of closest one-on-one relationships. That's your boyfriend, girlfriend, BFF, business partner, husband, wife, roommates, all those people. And it's going to stay direct here all the way up until December before he finally leaves and moves on into Capricorn. Now, Saturn in the 7th house is not the you're doomed to be single kind of energy. It really isn't. A lot of people kind of put that black and white malefic on it, so it's simple, so it's TV or YouTube ready. But I think that what needs to be understood is that Saturn's not really doing that. Saturn is putting pressure on relationships to crystallize and be more mature, and on both parties. Remember, Saturn is sort of like the taskmaster, the Professor Snape, and the parent all at once. So Saturn's not going to sit there and tell you, "Good job, you tried," when when it really needs to be, "No, this needs to be good." And what's happening with Saturn in the 7th house is basically talking to you about that. Look, we're going to go back and work hard on this marriage. We're going to go back and work hard on this boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. We're going to work hard on rebonding you with your BFF, rebonding you with, we need to start having people working on this bond. Over the course of this recess, we've taken a little bit of space. We've had a bit more free time. We've gotten rid of some unnecessary rules about relationships that weren't serving either of us. Maybe they were rules that we didn't even think were supposed to be rules. We just did it because mom and dad and everyone else did it. Or maybe they were just rules that were born out of insecurity or past experiences, and we've done away with those as well. And now Saturn's like, okay, so can you be serious without those things? After all the healing, now could we be serious? Let's let it go. Let's get things serious. Because when Saturn goes into the 7th, you can see a lot of opportunity for the serious everyone's really looking for. On the 26th of the month, we do have Venus going into Leo, into that 3rd house of communications, pacts, and promises. And a lot of you who are looking for new lovers may be finding a bit of those folks on the road, traveling around, driving around. Some of you may actually find yourselves in a situation where love is just maybe 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away, just a few good miles down the road, maybe the next town over, and you may be actually having those communications and, and bump into folks, again, while you're in that commuter space or in that transit kind of space, or, you're also going to be noticed with Venus in the 3rd house that people are going to be going out of their way to help make and bridge connections for you when Venus is in the 3rd, as well as Mars being in the 3rd. Now we have friends and allies kind of going out and kind of putting in their energy for you, kind of lifting you up by going out and taking care of and doing some of those tasks for you. So you may even have some introductions going on. And also leads towards financial opportunities, also leads towards anything that you're really looking for. Venus is all about the gifts. On the 31st of the... Oh, by the way, Venus will be there well into September. And on the 31st of the month, we've got Mercury retrograding all the way back into this 3rd house of communications, pacts, and promises, where he's going to be pretty much up until about the mid to end of the 2nd week of September. And when Mercury retrogrades in the 3rd house, we're kind of going back over old communications, old contracts, old agreements that we may have yet to fulfill. Okay? But also at the same time, maybe actually cashing in on something that has been waiting for us. It's very important, though, with Mercury retrograde in the 3rd house that you do not. This is where you get textbook Mercury retrograde. You know how some people say Mercury retrograde is the same thing no matter what horoscope, house, sign, whatever you're in? That's not true. The 3rd house is really when we talk about textbook Mercury retrograde. And this is where, again, we don't want to be signing any contracts. Unless it's, again, fine-tooth comb if you have to. This is a time for taking things off the table, if you want to take things off the table with impunity. This is also a time to consider, not necessarily putting initiatives forward, but drafting them, having those negotiations and those discussions, but don't make it crystallized. Don't make anything official between the 31st of this month and about, again, the second week of September. But get those conversations rolling. God, I hope that made sense. I need a glass of water, because I just got some cotton mouth. So that's your horoscope, Gemini. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. And of course, if you ever want to get a session, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com.